Greetings, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Today's talk focuses on the fact that in Vermont right now you can get the Powerwall for $15 per month. We're going to address issues related to the Tesla Powerwall at that price, as well as some other issues affecting using Tesla as your backup power solution in emergency circumstances. Greetings, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Zdravstvuyte, ni hao ma, guten Tag. Today's talk focuses on the fact that I had a visit at the Washington, D.C. location with the power representative. I had been sort of popping through there periodically over the last few months and happened to not catch up with him at either time. And I was eager to ask him questions about using Tesla as backup power, given that in Houston, Texas, Miami, and even in the Caribbean, there's been a number of outages for long periods of time that kind of don't work with the Powerwall, given that you only have like 1 or 2 days worth of power, where the average days of outage runs 3, 5, 10, 2 weeks, especially if you don't have solar panels. And so how is all this going to work? So while we were having our conversation, he brought up the fact that there's a company called Green Mountain Energy in Vermont. Green Mountain, as of October of 2016, was offering their customers what I think is an awesome deal. They're offering Powerwall for either $15 a month for 10 years or $1,500 one-time payment. For a device that's typically $5,000, I thought that was an impressive number and sort of wanted to get more information on how all this worked. He further shared with me one of the reasons they're doing this is as renewables become the norm on the grid, the power companies have challenges that they're facing, namely they have routine power that's being produced, but when the renewables go offline, let's say between 4 and 8 p.m., that's where peak usage is for customers. So one of the main reasons why the power company is coordinating with folks to do this is as a way to have access to what's called peaker power. So instead of using a diesel generator or some other method to produce power, they could in essence partner with customers who have power sitting on their power walls, and hence the value of the deal that they're providing the customers is they in essence become a partner with their customers to solve peak power demands and issues of cost related to that activity. So the number is actually really impressive. I think there are a lot more people that can afford $15 a month versus paying Tesla $5,000 plus the installation fee for the current Powerwall 2. After I heard this, I started thinking to myself, wow, this is amazing. I somewhat heard about this last year and didn't follow up on it at all, but now that I've had a chance to spend a lot of time looking at Tesla and its behavior, there's economic benefit that the utility gets from doing this, and obviously there's consumer benefits because the consumer gets the Powerwall and gets to manage the power process better. The other things that I was thinking about is we sort of covered variables and how it's impacted on the Powerwall. So for example, one thing that I was concerned about was that the Powerwall is rated for 15 kW. Typically, that's 1 unit. Typically good for a 2 or 3 bedroom home. The vehicles are starting at, let's say, 60 or 80 kW, but he assured me that one Powerwall device was sufficient to handle just recharging your car. The issue there is that the plan for that Powerwall device is not necessarily to just charge your car for the day and that's it. The goal was to allow you to buy power cheaply in the off hours and then use it at peak times, either powering your car or powering your home. And so that way, the whole thing makes sense, etc. We then had a conversation focused on how the Powerwall operates when there's an outage. He shared that one of the challenges that's out there is the fact that if the Powerwall is filled up with electricity, it will then start to back up power and send it back through. In the case of an emergency where power has been shut down, it's a smart enough device that it will recognize the grid has been shut down and not send power out if the power system has been shut down. He kind of went into some other elements of how the Powerwall works. The next piece that I covered with him that I was wondering / confused about is what happens, for example, if your roof blows off and you ain't got that part of it. And so obviously the system doesn't work very well in terms of either a solar roof or solar panels on the roof if they've been blown off. The Tesla roofing system is rated for 200 miles an hour, so in theory, if your roof is still there, the solar panels will be there as well. So these folks will likely have power during times when other people's power might be out. I ended up having a conversation with him about the fact that, in theory, this Powerwall is really designed for a 24 to 48 hour period of home or vehicle use. And so the next question was kind of what do they recommend, or what did he recommend in terms of backup power? And the suggestion that was thrown out was propane probably was your best way to go. The gas line obviously is an excellent route to use as well as a backup. And obviously a tertiary route that he recommended was to consider gasoline in a small Honda generator. But the problem there is that when power is out, if we look at Florida, if we look at Houston, etc., there's huge issues with gasoline supplies getting in and being able to power your Honda generator, etc., with gasoline per se. So for those of you in areas that have a lot of outages or have seen some of what's going on, you really need to consider something in the propane or gas or gasoline realm in terms of backups that can last for a longer period of time. Because as we were saying, the Powerwall may or may not work with your roofing system to solve it. And this is especially the case. I think it rained for 4 or 5 days continuously in Texas. So in theory, you would consume all of your electricity because the sun's not coming out. So that's another variable to consider in terms of evaluating it. I have to admit that when I was listening to the Tesla Powerwall solution, I'd sort of grown up studying Cummins engine solutions when it came to backup power. They typically had natural gas as a backup to the regular electricity grid going down, and that's the system I knew well. And typically the gas lines aren't affected by the power lines getting knocked down, so this is usually a pretty reliable backup method for power. As we've gotten into the whole Tesla world of Powerwalls, etc., I really think it's a good idea, but given that 24 to 48 hours worth of power that you have there, I'm questioning whether or not it's a great solution for the typical type of tragedies that we're seeing starting to occur, be it a big fire in California or hurricanes in Houston and Miami, and how long the grid might be down after those events. I'm looking forward to your comments on this. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Please like and subscribe. I believe that the reason why I really wanted to pub this whole idea of the $15 per month Powerwall option is that this is an affordable number for most people, and given that there's a spread throughout the country of the use of renewables, there are a lot of utilities for which the Green Mountain solution actually makes sense. So I really think that, Green Mountain is a leader in terms of what's going on, but Tesla in combination with Green Mountain is actually after really making this work. I should also share that Mercedes has entered into a deal with Vivint to also start offering powerwall solutions. And my thought there is that there's backups in terms of getting your solution from a Tesla vendor. It might be the route to go to look at, plan Bs that might be viable for both powering your home and car in case there's a power outage, but in general, just to manage electricity better. Once again, this is Greg for Tesla and Fan Insight. Tschüss, macht's gut. Au revoir, Lahit Road, Choda Hafez.